Check the mic and make sure it sound right.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the City Light Project YouTube channel for yet another UFC Fight Night predictions video, where I will make my predictions starting with the early prelims, ending with the main event of the evening. So don't go anywhere. Watch till the end to hear my prediction on the main event, and let's get right to it. UFC Fight Night 219. I don't even know what Vegas night it is anymore. We got a fight night. It's kind of a forgettable card, but some potential bangers on it. So let's start with the first one. Clayton Carpenter against Ronderos. Clayton Carpenter, some of you guys might remember him from Dana White Contender Series earlier this year. He's 6-0 in his professional MMA career, 26 years old. 2 wins via TKO, KO, 2 by submission, 2 decision, fighting at 125 pounds. Like you said, he's on a win streak right now. Still very early in his career, but he's been actually beating up on some pretty good opponents. Had a good unanimous, and I'm talking about dominant unanimous decision against Edgar Chairez on Dana White Contender Series. Solid wins in LFA, and he just kind of got better at every step of the competition. Now, is it a big step in competition in the UFC? Of course. Clayton Carpenter up against Ronderos. Out of Colombia, Ronderos 4-1. So again, a very young fighter himself. 2 submissions, 2 decisions. 28 years old, young in his MMA career, I should say. Lost his last fight, UFC, back in 2021. So he hasn't fought in 2 years. Before then, had a decent streak in WXC. A little bit of amateur experience as well. Juan Camilo Ronderos. All right, so for me, this one's pretty easy, to be perfectly honest. I'm going with Clayton Carpenter. Yeah, I know he didn't get a finish on Contender Series, but he had a damn good fight. He's young, solid, competitive, very skilled and technical. Seemingly got better at every step, got better at every level, got better with every fight. LFA is also a great developmental league, and he spent some time in LFA. Now, I know Ronderos' last fight was on short notice in the UFC. He wasn't horrendous. He's fine. It's UFC level competition. They're both young. Let's see how he can do against Clayton Carpenter. I know Ronderos, I think the MMA Guru said it, and a few other content creators on YouTube that I listened to who gave their predictions also said that he's a pretty damn good wrestler. Again, I don't know much about him. I know more about Clayton Carpenter. The consensus all around, everyone seems to be going for him. I liked his performance, so we're locking it in, Clayton Carpenter. Next, AJ Fletcher against Themba Gorimbo. AJ Fletcher, the Ghost. 9-2 in his pro MMA career, fighting at welterweight. He's 25 years old. 4 KO, TKO, 4 submission, 1 decision. So pretty balanced fighter. He's on a 2-fight losing streak in the UFC upon coming off Contender Series in 2021, where he won via beautiful flying knee. And it's not like he's fought anyone of name yet. However, those are his 2 losses on his career before coming to Dana White's Contender Series. Fought an Icon, fought an AKA, fought an AF, the Bayou Fighting Championship. Man, I want to go see a fight at the Bayou Fighting Championship, and Fury FC. So not the best promotions there, but a decent development on his way up to Contender Series. Really motivated to get a win here tonight. His opponent out of South Africa, Themba Gorimbo. The answer, Gorimbo. 32 years of age, 10 wins, 3 losses, 1 KO, TKO, 6 submissions, and 3 decisions. He won his last fight on Fury FC, before then lost in UAE Warriors. Was on a 3-fight win streak in EFC, where he spent most of his time there. Extreme Fighting Championship. Look, for me, I mean, I honestly don't even think that this is going to be that crazy of a fight. Now, prove me wrong, boys. Prove me wrong. But I'm going with AJ Fletcher. Despite being on a 2-fight losing streak, he looked good against decent opponents, better opponents than that of Gorimbo. I think it's going to be a close fight. I hope it's competitive. I really do, and I hope it's really entertaining. I'm not putting my eggs in that basket. However, it's probably going to be close. It's probably going to go 3 rounds. It's probably going to be close. Gorimbo is no slouch, but lacks the technique based on where he trains, his competition in the league that he fought in predominantly before, respectfully getting a win in Fury FC. And I just think his developmental path, probably, as you can see here, a few more easier opponents. I just think developmental path all around. I'm going with AJ Fletcher. Again, Prove me wrong, boys. Let's have a good one. Next, we have Ovince St. Preux, OSP, against Felipe Linus. Linus? OSP, 39 years of age, 26 wins, 16 losses, 12 wins via TKO, 8 by submission, 6 by decision, fighting at light heavyweight. He beat Mauricio Shogun Hua in 2022 via split decision. Before then, lost to Tanner Boser, Jamal Hill, beat Alonzo Minifield, lost to Ben Rothwell. I mean, he's kind of been back and forth, lost to Nikita Krylov, Dominic Reyes. At one point in the UFC, as you can see here, he's beating Corey Anderson. He was beating Yushin Okami, who was still competitive. DeLima, who was, at his prime at that point as well. And as you can see, only lost to really good opponents at this. Glover Teixeira being one of them. Ryan Bader, at this point in his career. However, I mean, he's over the hump, ladies and gentlemen. He's over the hump. And when you go to a decision against what we saw of Shogun as of late, there's some concerns there. I don't know how much left in his career there will be for Ovince St. Preux. His opponent, Felipe Linus out of Brazil, Monstro. 15-5 in his pro MMA career. I mean, up there in age too, but a few years younger, or a couple years younger at 37 years old. 8 wins TKO, KO, 4 submission, 3 decisions. His last win was against Marcin Prachnio, before then lost to Tanner Boser, Andre Arlovsky in the UFC. Before coming to the UFC, he fought in the PFL. Quite 4 fights in the PFL and Bellator before them, where he lost to arguably one of the best light heavyweights outside of the UFC in Vadim Nemkov. So a well-seasoned veteran who's fought in the arguably the second and third best promotion. Now, I'll say that one championship is probably the second best, but you know what I mean, folks. Had success in the PFL before signing with the UFC, and yeah, doesn't have the best UFC record right off the bat in 1 and 2, but I think this should be a gimme for Linus. He's hungry, motivated. OSP is just not the same. Even take the age factor out, he's just got a lot more miles on him against better competition throughout his entire career. Linus still has a little gas left in his tank. Linus is, no slouch, like I said, outside the UFC, fought in PFL and Bellator. If healthy, I think he could KO OSP. He'll finish the fight. Probably not by submission, but I'm guessing he'll have a clear decision over him if he doesn't gas, and again, if he's not injured, because he's had a lot of canceled bouts. I forget how many off the top of my head, so I don't know if all those have been because of him being injured or his opponent or just bad timing and whatnot. But anyways, when you see that, there are some red flags. If he's healthy, I think he finishes OSP, TKO, or KO. And OSP is not even a huge threat on the ground right now, too. So say OSP starts to get tired a little bit, Linus maybe can even utilize some of his grappling, although I think he'll probably keep it on the feet. He's either going to outpoint OSP, get the decision, or probably second round TKO, second round, early third round TKO. That's my prediction, locking it in. Next, Jamall Emmers against Khusein Askhabov. Jamal, pretty boy, Emmers, 33 years old, 18-6 pro MMA record, 7 wins via KO, TKO, 3 submission, 8 decisions, fighting at 145 pounds. He's coming off a loss to Pat Sabatini, where he lost via heel hook. Before then, he beat Vince Cachero. Lost to Giga Chikadze, so no shame in that. And before then, before entering the UFC, was on a hell of a win streak. As you can see, 4-fight win streak, where he fought in M1 Global, FFC, LFA. Lost to Julian Erosa, who's in the UFC now, Dana White Contender Series. This guy's fought all around, but in good promotions like RFA, LFA. I don't know what Global Knockout is, but Smash Global, M1's a good promotion as well. FFC is a good promotion. Back to LFA before signing with the UFC. A really respectable career. I mean, early LFA as well before going to Hero FC, which again, a decent regional promotion. Had a decorated amateur career where he's undefeated as well. So he is no slouch by any means. This should be honestly one of the better fights on the card, going up against a prospect that we've all wanted to see in the UFC for a couple years now. Khusein Askhabov out of Chechnya. 23 wins, 0 losses, baby. He is undefeated. 6 KO, TKO, 10 submissions, 7 decisions. Talk about a well-balanced fighter. Fighting a lot of fights at only 28 years old. He has crushed quite a bit of cans on his way up, but nothing like Khabib. Nothing like Khabib. And I'm sorry to tell you, Khabib lovers. I love him too. He's an unbelievable fighter, but like, come on. The fact that some of his 2-round fights are deemed pro fights. Anyways, I think this is going to be a great fight. Low-key, this might be the best fight on the card, and I'm going with... Oh, this one might burn me because I'm pretty sure he is the favorite. Just slight favorite, though. I'm going with Askhabov. I'm going with Askhabov. Unreal prospect. And he's dominated everyone. He hasn't like struggled with everyone with anyone yet, really. And again, a lot of the fighters he's fought not necessarily at his level, but he has gradually moved up in competition. Less cans on the way up. Not padded record overall. If the odds go crazy though, and Jamall Emmers becomes a huge underdog, I mean, smash that shit, because the guy is talented, and this is a good matchup to see how good Askhabov actually is, because they may be closer in talent level than we think. Emmers, he's just solid all around and can hang with good fighters, KO power and experience. However, I'm going with Askhabov. I'm going with the favorite. Lock it in. All right, next we have Lina Länsberg against Mayra Bueno Silva. Lina Länsberg, the elbow queen, even though I think she only has 2 elbow knockouts out of Sweden. 40 years old, 10 wins, 7 losses. Oof. What a record, what a record. 4 KO, TKO, 2 of those by elbows, though. 2 of those by elbows. 6 decisions. She lost to Carol Rosa, Sarah McMahon, beat Macy Chiasson and Tanya Evinger back in 2019. And Aspen Ladd beat her on the way up. I mean, what are we doing here, folks? What are we doing? Mayra Bueno Silva. 31 years old, 9 wins, 2 losses, 1 KO, TKO, 6 submissions, 2 decisions, 1 draw. She fights out of shootbox, actually, where Charles Oliveira fights. She's on a 2-fight win streak right now. 1 unanimous decision and 1 submission via armbar against Stephanie Egger back in the summer of 2022. She had a good fight where she lost to Manon Fior, who's a title contender right now. Draw before that. I mean, this girl can fight, and she's like arguably in her prime right now. 31 years old, athletic prime. I don't really get this matchup. But anyways, I'll be quick on this one. Mayra Bueno Silva is going to destroy Lina Länsberg. She's an absolute destroyer. Like, Lina Länsberg, she's 40, okay? She's 40 with not a lot of fight experience, sure. But that's just the thing. It's like, it's not even that, like, oh, she's fresh and hasn't taken a lot of damage. She just doesn't. She's not that great of a fighter. Bueno Silva, she ain't that bad. She can scrap, which is why I like her. She will always kind of push forward, throw those punches. And if she can dominate and bully on the feet, which I think is what she's going to do in this one, she'll just stay like that. And if not, if her opponent, if she falls behind her opponent striking a little bit, she's not afraid to go to the ground. As you can see, like submission specialist over anything else, I guess, in her game. And she'll also pressure her opponents who maybe don't want to stand and bang with her on the feet to go to the ground, where she could either stuff the takedowns, continue to beat them up and bully them on the feet, or go to the ground, submit them, or further beat them up by getting on top of them. Silva will win on the feet or the ground. Easy win. This one, I mean, come on, UFC, come on. Next, we have Nazim Sadykhov against Evan Edler. Nazim Sadykhov fighting out of Brooklyn, New York at that Sarah Longo camp. 7-1. I mean, this guy's a hell of a prospect as well. 28 years old, 5 KO, TKO, 1 submission, 1 decision. Oh, I guess now it's Sarah Longo and Weidman, baby. He's on a hell of a win streak right now. Just came off of Contender Series Week 4, where he won by brutal KO. Was coming into his Contender Series bout on a 2-4-6 fight win streak. Oh my goodness. Oh my god. I guess, yeah, because he's 7-1. That makes sense. Jeez. Look at the leagues that he's fought in right off the bat. ROC, Cage Fury FC, Fury FC, before coming into Dana White's Contender Series, and the guy bullies his opponents, folks. He bullies his opponents. Another decent prospect, a phenom, some might say. Evan the Phenom Elder. You can see that I'm a Canucks fan. 25 years of age, 7-1, so similar record. 4 KO, TKO, 1 submission, 2 decision. Fighting at the Nick Diaz Academy. Lost his last fight to Preston Parsons. Before then, was on an impressive win streak as well. 7-0. Fighting primarily at Shamrock FC. 1 card on LFA, and then FAC fighting Alliance Championship before making his UFC debut, where he lost via unanimous decision. I'm going Sadykhov for this one, folks. He just, look, similar record, similar age, similar prospect, but he just bullies his opponents, man. Bullies his opponents. I don't know why I said that in an English accent. I'm watching that Leon Edwards hype video too much.
Don't make him bully you, Leon. Don't let him bully your son.
But he bullies his opponents. He primarily ends his fights with a vengeance, and he's just more dominant overall. I think this will be a competitive fight, but I think Evan gets dominated by Nazim Sadykhov. He also has such great training partners. Nothing against the Diaz Academy, but I'm sorry, Sarah Longo right now, I mean, they're just producing champions left, right, and center, and title contenders in Marab. When you're primarily on your come-up fighting in Cage Fury FC, then Dana White Contender Series, then you know this guy's prepped and ready for the UFC, and he looked that way on Contender Series. Elder's good, but a lot of decisions on his resume. Lesser experience in better divisions. I have to go with Nazim Sadykhov. William Knight against Marcin Prachnio. William the Nightmare Knight. And yeah, this guy is an absolute nightmare. He's built like a friggin' freight train. 11 wins, 4 losses. He's 34 years old. 9 KO, TKOs, 0 submissions, 2 decisions. So there you go, folks. There you go. He's a heavyweight at 5'10", too. Holy crap. Oh my goodness. So he's on a 2-fight losing streak, losing to Maxine Grishin and Devin Clark. The Devin Clark one, he was winning in the first round, if I'm not mistaken. Kind of gassed out in the second and the third. He got his ass kicked. But he beat Alonzo Menefield. He's beat Fabio Charant. And he's actually been in the UFC since 2020, where he beat Cody Brundage on Contender Series to get into the UFC. I mean, kind of a one-trick pony. Doesn't have the biggest gas tank as far as cardio, but if he hits you, you are going down. Out of Poland, so a little bit of Polish power. Marcin Prachnio, 15 wins, 6 losses, 34 years old. 11 KO TKO, 1 submission, 3 decisions. He's coming off a loss as well, funny enough, to Felipe Linas, the unanimous decision last year. 4 of them was on a 2-fight win streak in the UFC, where he actually beat 2 solid opponents, Villanueva and Khalil Roundtree, which is a big one now. That unanimous decision victory has aged well. And, you know, fought good opponents in Magomed Ankalaev. I mean, Sam Alvey, he's the boogeyman, obviously. Smiling Sam Alvey. And before entering the UFC, was on a 4-fight win streak in 1 championship. And you folks know how much I love my 1 championship. So definitely a very experienced fighter, taking a lot of damage throughout his career, looking to get back in the win column in the UFC is Marcin Prachnio. Man, I think I might be going against the grain here based off everyone else. You know, the YouTube creators, the MMA podcasters, MMA Twitter, but I'm going with the legendary Polish power. I'm going with Marcin Prachnio. I think he's a better fighter all around. Hell, I know he's a better fighter all around. He's more technical. I have no idea what I wrote in my notes there, but yeah, he's technical. And more talented. Jeez. It must have been a long morning. Experience overall in his career, fighting in 1 championship before the UFC. And that, like I said, that win against Khalil Roundtree is going to age like fine wine. He does get knocked out often / recently. I think 3 out of his last 7 fights were by knockout, and his opponent is a hard-hitting KO artist. So, I mean, talk about going up against someone who has strength in your biggest weakness. But overall, I think he can do enough to not get caught. And especially if he can at least gauge one of them and it doesn't send him down, then he knows, okay, I can hang with this guy in this area as well. I don't have to be focused on just potentially going to the ground. This one's a risky pick, but I'm going with Prachnio, the legendary Polish power. Next, we have Josh Parisian against Jamal Pogues. I'm probably mispronouncing that, folks. I'm sorry. Josh Parisian, 15 wins, 5 losses, 11 KO TKO, 2 submissions, 2 decisions at heavyweight. He beat Alan Boudreaux, UFC on ESPN 30, Avia TKO earlier last summer, before then lost to Dontel Mays. Win trade lost to Parker Porter, funny enough. He was on a little bit of a win streak in Eris. He was actually on Eris' first card. That's pretty cool. We're doing Eris this weekend, folks. Marks Molding and Chad Johnson, who beat on Contender Series back in 2020. Jamal Stormtrooper Pogues, and I know it's like Pose or something like that. I don't know. I'm sorry, Jamal. I'm sorry. The Stormtrooper, 27 years old, 9 wins, 3 losses, 4 KO TKO, 1 submission, 4 decision. You'll remember him from week 3 of Contender Series this last season, where he got his last win in August of 2022 against Paulo Renato Jr. Competed on LFA before then, where he got a win and a loss, and actually was on Contender Series before that, where he got a win but didn't impress Dana White as much as he impressed Dana White in his second Contender Series performance, where he still didn't get a knockout, but he had a way better decision victory. He's fought in California Cage Wars. He had one fight in Bellator. I mean, he's fought all around in his young career. Good way to test himself was in LFA. He got a win and a loss. Unanimous decision, of course. Back on Contender Series. And you got a contract into the UFC. Oh, UFC, what are you doing? What are you doing with us this weekend? This is a tough card to get excited about, but here we are. We're jacked, ladies and gentlemen. I hope I'm making you excited. Here we go. I'm going with Stormtrooper Jamall here. Lock it in. He's a fine heavyweight. Is he going to be a contender? Probably not, because the guy just likes unanimous decisions too much. Young, though, and he's a good boxer. So, that's why he's winning unanimous decisions. He's very good at boxing. Look, his opponent's been beaten by bad fighters. Should be a good scrap, I guess. But, I mean, there's if the Stormtrooper can't beat Josh Parisian, then get him out of the UFC. Then, Dana, you should have known after 2 Contender Series performances that went decision for a heavyweight that he wasn't going to do anything special, okay? If Parisian has a chance in this, he takes him to the ground. That's all I got to say. I'm going with Stormtrooper Jamall. Let's go. Moving on to the co-main event of the evening, and yes, this is... I know it's a joke, but it is the co-main event of the evening. Let's try to get hyped. Jordan Wright against Zach Pauga. Jordan Wright, the Beverly Hills Ninja. Or maybe he was at one point. 12-4 in his pro MMA career. He's 31 years old. 7 KO, TKO, 5 submission, 0 decision, 1 no contest. He has fought at middleweight quite a bit. He is fighting a light heavyweight in this one, as Zach Pauga is actually moving down to light heavyweight. He had a brutal loss to Dusko Todorovic as recent as October, for then lost to Marc-Andre Barrios, Bruno Silva. So he is on a 3-fight losing streak right now. I bet he's motivated for this one, but I mean, he was just brutally knocked out in October. Hope he's recovered enough. He has a win against Jamie Pickett, but okay, that's okay. Lost to Joaquin Buckley. His last UFC win was in 2020, and that was his UFC debut coming off LFA. I mean, he has fun, good promotions, AFC, LFA, Gladiator Challenge, but let's be honest, he's not this phenom that we once thought he was. But he's motivated, looking to break his losing streak against an up-and-comer from the most recent season of The Ultimate Fighter, Zach Pauga, the Ripper. If I'm not mistaken, a former NFL player as well. 34 years old, 5 wins, 1 loss, and his last loss came in the Ultimate Fighter finale against Kamaru Usman's brother. He was winning that fight. 1 KO, TKO, 4 decisions. He's 34 years age. Yeah, Muhammad Usman. That whole first round, Pauga was piecing him up. Muhammad Usman landed a beautiful, what was it, a check left hook or something like that? Right on the chin and knocked Pauga out. Before then fought in Cage Warriors, L and LFA. So talk about, I know it hasn't been a lot of fights, but talk about good development. Coming in 3 fights in LFA, Cage Warriors, and then some Ultimate Fighter experience as well, as you can see here. I mean, what a great path to the UFC. Again, lost to Muhammad Usman, but he was piecing him up early in that one. Both of them, I don't think, were true heavyweights. He was a lighter heavyweight anyway, so coming down to 205 could do a lot of good for Zach Pauga, which is honestly why I'm picking him. Co-main event, get stoked. I think there'll be a knockout. Pauga, he's pretty good, okay? There wasn't a lot of positivity that came from that last season of The Ultimate Fighter. Zach Pauga was one of them, all right? Both coming off getting knocked out, right on a bad losing streak right now, and doesn't have the greatest chin. Pauga was winning, like I said, against Muhammad Usman, and he got cranked perfectly. It's not like he's really chinny either. He got cranked perfectly by that hook. Pauga's takedown defense, he's a big dude. Like I said, he's coming down. He's like 230 or something like that. Usually, I think is what he weighs in as like a heavyweight, 230, 240. So he's not quite like one of those bigger heavyweights, but he's light enough where he can come and do some damage at 205, I truly believe. And I think this is Jordan Wright's last fight in the UFC. And I hope he doesn't take too much damage, but I do think Pauga's going to put him out. If it goes to decision, Pauga's going to beat him up. So I don't know what's worse, him getting knocked out, his brain ending it for him early, or if we want to see him go those 3 rounds. Regardless, light heavyweight, co-main event, Zach Pauga. Main event of the evening next. And yes, this is the main event of the evening, folks. Jéssica Andrade taking this on short notice, going up against the young prospect, the grappling phenom, Erin Blanchfield. Jéssica Andrade filling in for Taila Santos, who had to pull out of this fight on 3 weeks' notice. She just beat up Lauren Murphy a few weeks ago. 24 wins, 9 losses, 9 KO, TKO, 8 submissions, 7 decisions, so very well rounded. She's 31 years old, 115 pounds, but she's fought at 125 and 135 as well. The former 115 champion. She's just something else. She is something else. Dominated Lauren Murphy. Absolutely dominated Lauren Murphy. Took little to no damage. Dominated Amanda Lemos. Dominated Cynthia Calvillo. Lost to, the champion Valentina Shevchenko. Beat Caitlin Chukagian. Lost to Rose Namajunas. Weili Zhang. I mean, look at the opponents who she's lost to. Beat Rose at one point. Beat, at that point, title contender Karolina Kowalkiewicz. Beat Trisha Torres. Claudia Gadelha. Like, dude, she's only... And then lost to Joanna Jędrzejczyk. I mean, beat Angela Hill. Beat Joanna Wood. Like, look at the... Lost to Raquel Pennington when Raquel Pennington was in her prime as well. I mean, she has only fought the toughest of the tough. She's beat the toughest of the tough. And she's coming in, yes, on short notice against Erin Blanchfield here. But Jéssica Andrade, she's a bad, bad woman. The young, cold-blooded Erin Blanchfield does have her work cut out for her. However, she is one of the UFC's top prospects in the women's side of things for a reason. 23 years of age, 10-1 at only 23 years of age. And she's tough as nails and so strong. 2 KO, TKO, 3 submissions, 5 decisions. She beat Molly McCann dominantly, but let's be honest, Molly McCann, she can't grapple worth shit. She beat JJ Aldrich. She beat Miranda Maverick. She beat Sarah Alpar. All of this. And she's only 23 years of age. Torched Invicta. Her 2 wins against Brogan Walker, Victoria Leonardo. And before them fought in Cage Fury FC as well. So like her come up has been nothing short of spectacular for a young woman in MMA, fighting Cage Fury FC, bouncing back and forth between Invicta, testing herself against some of the best women in both of those organizations. And honestly, Invicta probably has the deeper roster for her on the come up, but still dabbling in Cage Fury FC doesn't hurt at all. And then coming to the UFC fairly early in 2021 and has been active. 2 fights in 2021, 2 in 2022, now making her 2023 debut against, oh boy, I mean, Taila Santos, that was a hard fight for her anyways. Now having to go up against Jéssica Andrade. Before I give my final pick, folks, don't forget to like this video if you dig these prediction videos. Subscribe to the channel. Ring that bell for notifications so you never miss when we're going to do a live stream, so you never miss a Saturday vlog or surprise upload throughout the week. All right, let's get into it. I'm going with, and honestly, there should be no surprise here. I'm going with Jéssica Andrade. Dude, this chick is built different. She is a savage. She's a stone cold killer. She was born to kick ass, and she took no damage against Lauren Murphy. Now, I had some friends who were telling me too, but still, she did a weight cut. She went through a fight. Like, the body's not going to be taxed. These women, these MMA fighters, they're professional athletes. They probably spar harder than she went against Lauren Murphy. Now, yes, she's going to have to go through, I actually don't know how much of a weight cut. Probably not too much. But anyways, I think she's got this one in the bag, and I think she humbles Blanchfield. I think she exposes a little bit of what Blanchfield has to work on and just further develop, because Blanchfield's an amazing grappler. How's she going to put it together as a mixed martial artist at the top of this division? That's what I want to know. And we're going to see that here tonight. Yeah, Jéssica Andrade, there's levels to this game. Even on short notice, she is better in all areas, better striking, hits harder than any woman that Erin Blanchfield has ever fought and probably will fight. And she can grapple. Now, she is aggressive wrestlers. Blanchfield, absolutely not. You'll give the upper hand to Blanchfield there. But Jéssica Andrade, very good at jiu-jitsu, very scrambly, and incredibly strong on the ground as well. Like, I know Valentina Shevchenko made her look human, but I think Blanchfield might underestimate her, especially not game planning for her long term. Did not take much damage against Murphy. Again, Murphy didn't do anything to her. Blanchfield is great, but still super young. I think Andrade will show that she's at the top of the UFC in her respective divisions, because she can go up and down in divisions with relative ease, and that's hard for women fighters, so props to her. I think she's going to show that she's, the best of the best in this era for the women's side of the UFC, and I believe she's still the favorite taking this fight on short notice. So I'm going with Jéssica Andrade. That's it for the predictions video, folks. Again, like and subscribe, and I'll see you this weekend for the live stream.